Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So today's video will be about one of the laws of inheritance, that is law of dominance. So law of dominance is based upon the inheritance in monohybrid cross. Now what is a monohybrid cross? Monohybrid cross is a breeding between two organisms that have a different variation of a single trait. Now different variation of a single trait basically meant that, for example, if we take height of a pea plant, which is a single trait, so the different variations present in it, that a plant can be tall or it can be dwarf. And if we take example of seed shape of pea plant, so the shape can be round or it can be wrinkled. And in case of seed color, which is also a single trait, the color can be yellow or it can be green. Now beside these three single trait, we can take any single trait which have different variation present in two different organisms, and the breeding is conducted between the two organisms, or we can say crossing over is conducted between two organisms. So such breeding is said to be monohybrid cross. Now the goal of monohybrid cross is to study how that trait is inherited, right? And understanding of a monohybrid cross somehow lays the foundation which leads to better understanding of law of dominance. According to law of dominance, the characters, or we can say the traits, they are controlled by discrete units called factors, and these factors, they occur in a pair. And in a dissimilar pair of factors, one member dominates over the other. Now when we say dissimilar pair of factors, we simply meant of heterozygous condition, right? And for example, if we take a heterozygous tall pea plant, the factors would be capital T and small t, right? And this is a pair of a dissimilar factors, or we can say contrasting factors. Now we can say out of this pair, one member capital T is dominant while the other one small t is recessive. So Mendel proposed that in dissimilar pair of factor, or in heterozygous condition, or in contrasting pair of factors, one of the member of pair, right? Here we can see that there are two members of this pair, the one capital T and the other one small t. So one of the member dominates over the other. So here capital T is dominating over small t. So that capital T member is known as the dominant, while the small t one is known as recessive. Now let's just try to understand law of dominance in detail with the help of an example. So here we can see that it is an example of a monohybrid cross of height of pea plant. So here in parental generation, we can see that male parent is homozygous dominant, that is tall, and female parent is homozygous recessive, that is dwarf. The gamete form will be capital T in case of male parent and small t in case of female parent. Now after crossing between the male and the female parent will leads to F1 generation. Now the F1 generation will consist of all tall plants, because here we can see a condition of dissimilar pair of factor. The member capital T is dominant over the member small t. Right now, after selfing of F1 generation, or we can say that self crossing of F1 generation will get F2 generation, where the ratio of tall to dwarf plant is 3:1. Now in F1 generation, we can see that there are no dwarf plant. All of the plants are tall, because here the dominant member of the factors, that is capital D, is expressing itself, and in F2 generation we are seeing one dwarf plant, right? So now what happened after this self crossing, that it leads to formation of these four resultants F2 generation. Now here we can see that one of the pair is homozygous recessive, that is a dwarf plant, and the rest all three are tall plant, in which one of them is a homozygous dominant tall. In such situation we can see that the dwarf plant or the recessive character or recessive trait is expressing itself only in a similar pair of condition, right? Now here we can see that the dwarf trait is present here and here, but it is expressing itself only in the condition of a similar pair. With the help of this example, we have understood that in dissimilar pair of factor, as is seen in F1 generation, one of the member, that is capital T, is dominating over the other, and hence showing the character that all plants are tall, right? But in F2 generation, we see a condition where the recessive member of the pair, it's expressing itself only in a condition which is known as a homozygous recessive, leading to one dwarf plant in F2 generation. So we have understood law of dominance with the help of this example, that in dissimilar pair of factors, one of them is dominating over the other. The dominating member is known as the dominant, while the other one is known as recessive. And we have also understood that the recessive member will only be able to express itself in a condition which is known as homozygous recessive, or we can say that in case of a similar pair of factor. So that is all about the law of dominance.